Into the fire go these Jaguars. A week ago, they missed an opportunity to stay in first place in the AFC South. And today, they'll have an opportunity to swap places with the Colts for second place, despite the fact that they blew them out in week 2. The division is the path to the postseason, and whether or not the Jaguars are ready for that will likely to be determined today at Lucas Oil Stadium against the Colts, in a place where they haven't won since 2017. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. It's Week 6 in the NFL. I'm Brian Sexton here with you for the first hour, joined, as always, by the guy who's here all day long, Mike Dempsey.
Hey, I kind of live here a little bit. My second home. I don't mind, though.
You know the place well.
They keep letting me in. I'll keep coming back, Brian.
So there is a tremendous opportunity, as we've learned in the last 24 hours, for the Jaguars, who face a depleted Colts team for the second time in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit different than the first time around. They didn't have their top 2 wide receivers. This time it'll be their top 2 running backs. Both games without their all-pro middle linebacker Shaq Leonard, and now Kwity Paye, one of their top defensive ends, also going to miss this game. So, I mean, really, I understand the Jags without Foley Fatukasi, and he's a linchpin to that run defense. And you're missing Marvin Jones as well, but I think, you know, the sum total of this tilts heavily in the Jaguars' favor.
If that's the case, if the Jaguars find a way to win this game today, boy, will they kick themselves in the flight home for having missed last week.
Well, they should be kicking themselves regardless if they want to lose today. I mean, that is one you just cannot let get away from you, particularly if you want to talk the talk about, hey, you know, I know Philadelphia beat us, but we felt like we were the better team and we kind of beat ourselves. All right. You can say that. You're on the road, right? You turned it over, sloppy conditions, all that. But you got to show up in perfect conditions and beat a team that you're favored by a touchdown over. And now that's 9 in a row for the Texans. I mean, that's not this current roster's issue necessarily, but the continuation of that is their issue. And they gave one away, Brian, that you just can't get back.
So, interestingly, though, they find themselves right in the thick of it because the AFC South is very close, and today is a phenomenal opportunity for them to jump right back into it. And with that, how about we jump into the top stories of the week? All right, so Doug Peterson was asked all week long, as were the players, about playing the Colts for the second time in 6 weeks. Is there an advantage? You obviously know Frank Reich very well. He said, you know, look, this matchup means the most. The previous matchup has very little to do with it.
Preparation's never easy. You know, that's the one thing about knowing your opponent. They know you and we know them. And you know, you're not going to fool anybody or trick anybody, and it just comes down to your hard work and preparation. And you know, listen, this is a well-coached team. It's a good football team. It's a disciplined football team. You see it on film, and I expect a much different ball game than the first time.
In addition to that, Brian, they're a desperate football team in terms of the divisional record, right?
Yeah.
Like, they feel good.
They're 0-2-1.
Right. On the one hand, they come off an ugly win, but a win nonetheless against Denver in a game that they really got outplayed, I thought, for most of it. So they get that momentum. But, yeah, like you said, 0-2-1, 0-3-1 in the division. I mean, can you imagine this early in the season being in that position? You would think they would be done. At least that's probably their mindset, what they've been telling themselves all week. So, I mean, this is a bit of a backs against the wall game here for Indy.
And didn't we see some of that last week with the Texans, who are well coached by Lovie Smith, who were desperate to get in the winning column? If the Jaguars didn't learn from last week about a desperate team, they sure will today.
You got to play desperate yourself, right? I mean, you don't have to play crazy, you know, outside of what your capabilities are, but you have to play with a sense of urgency, and I don't know if that was present as much as it needed to be last week.
Well, no position is more important in that, obviously, than the quarterback, who has been under great scrutiny the last 2 weeks, despite being named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Just 3 weeks ago, there's a lot of concern about Trevor Lawrence's development. The head coach put the brakes to that in his news conference earlier this week.
You got to look at the whole picture, right? And what we're trying to do, what we're trying to get accomplished, and you know, we have a young quarterback that is learning and growing. I do strongly feel that he's going to be good in this league, and it's going to be sustainable. And that's why, you know, I'm here. That's why Press is here, Mike is here, so that we can get him, you know, heading in that direction.
I think everybody wants it right away, right? And when you get those back-to-back games like Trevor Lawrence had against the Colts and the Chargers, we so want it to be the case that we feel like, okay, has he arrived? Has he arrived? Has he arrived? Is it going to be like this every single week? And you know, you realize, and I'm not making excuses for him, he is the number 1 overall pick, hailed as a great prospect. He's a talented guy. He's got a year's worth of starting experience under his belt, but he's also 23 years old. which is 2 years younger than Kenny Pickett, who's a rookie quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, to put it in some kind of perspective. Now, I'm not saying you should wait another 2 years for Trevor Lawrence to get good. He's got to be more consistent than he's shown. And really, this team has risen and fallen based on his play in large part. The 2 games where he has a quarterback rating over 100, they sailed to victory. The ones he didn't, those are the 3 losses.
All right, so the quarterback, as you can imagine, has been in the building a lot this week, getting prepared, and was asked about letting go of last week.
Yeah, you can't let that stuff bother you. You can't let it affect you for sure. I mean, the worst thing you can do is hold on to that as far as just mentally and let that affect, whether that's your confidence or you're hesitating a little bit because of what happened the week before, or just in general. You can't let that affect your next week because you got to get ready to play a totally different opponent. And especially when it's a division game, we're going to get another chance at those guys in January. So we'll see them again, and we can kind of circle that one when we come to it. But for right now, we got another division game in Indy, huge game. Obviously, that they're going to come out ready to play, and we got to prepare ourselves that way as well.
Trevor's obviously right about that. I mean, that's the story of the National Football League, right? By Tuesday, you better have your attention focused on the next opponent. And it can be tough when the media all week long wants to ask you a lot of the same kind of things, but that's life as a professional football player. But, they've also got to, it's not just a case of having a hangover from a bad performance. It's maybe, getting a little ahead of yourselves on exactly where you are. This is a young team still, and even though there are a lot of veterans that are new here and have not experienced the losing, we don't know how they're going to come together in that fashion in terms of week-to-week attitude and preparation, at least not yet.
Not yet. One thing, though, that we do know, at least the players in the locker room know, the guys who were here last year, is that no matter what you saw last week, they don't believe that this year's team is last year's team. You heard the refrain, Mike, I'm sure, on your show all week long. Oh, that's the Jaguars. It looks like the same old Jaguars.
Been hearing that for a long time, Brian.
Yeah, we have. There's a little respite there in 2017, but we have heard it a long time. Shaq Griffin was here all year last year and endured that misery and said, no matter what you think you see, this is not that.
I got to get hands on a guy like that early, which I can, which is possible, then going against a guy who may be more quick and shifty. But the main thing is that's the guy.
Soundbite I was looking for, so I'll just tell you that is exactly what Jack said. He said, I watched this last year. If you think that this is last year's team, just hold on.
Look, we don't like the whole moral victories thing, right? So We're not going to go down that road. But if you're just objectively looking at this team, they're much more competitive on a week-in, week-out basis than they have been in recent years, right? So even the losses are coming by 8 points or less. You're in every game. It's a one-score game in the fourth quarter. Now, can you turn that corner, and can your would-be franchise quarterback start winning some of those games, start getting the opportunity with the football down by a score in the fourth quarter and overcome that? And can you start to do that a little bit more consistently as well?
And the way the defense played last week, 248 yards, only allowed 13 points. The running game was consistent. There was protection for the quarterback. There were a lot of elements there that you need for success, and that was what Shaq wanted to make sure that people understood. They had some things they had to overcome still, but this team is a world away from that team, which he said would not have competed like the 2022 Jaguars. All right, so let's end our big stories, with Josh Allen, all right? And Josh Allen is a guy who wants to make sure that you understand, that they understand that the Colts are coming gunning for them today.
A revenge game? Well, I mean, they're not going to be happy. You know what I mean? I think the energy, I think the mentality is going to be a little bit different on that side of the ball. But we know we have a job to do. We know if we want to do what we did the first time we played them, we have to pay attention to the little details that they're giving us. And so it's that type of game plan. And, we got to be physical. You got to win the battle up front. Both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, got to win the battle up front.
I think some folks heard the Trayvon Walker comments from later in the week and wondered if this Jacksonville team was taking for granted the fact that they shut out the Colts and they'll roll in there and get it done. And Josh wanted to make sure people understood they expect the Colts to come out desperate like we talked about.
Well, you better expect it. And if you don't, then you're going to get met with a level of aggression that you're not ready for. But look, Trayvon Walker put it out there, and this is, to me, a bit of a rookie misstep. I don't think he said anything that we as observers of the NFL don't believe, that Matt Ryan's a sitting duck in the pocket. Right?
He just doesn't know not to say that.
You can't say that as that week's opponent is coming up. So, they're going to be looking for Trayvon Walker today. And who knows, maybe they'll throw a few extra screens in, things like that. We'll see if they utilize his aggressiveness against him in the game plan.
I believe that the first overall pick was pulled aside by a coach this week and told, this is not the Citadel between the hedges, right? This is the Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Right. Everybody's got the Jimmys and Joes for the most part, right?
Right.
You just got to go out there and prove it every week.
You got to go get it done. Speaking of prove it every week, nobody proves it. He brings it like E.T. It's time for this week's edition, the Lucas Oil Field edition of Come On Somebody.
All right, E.T., let's see what we got in store for him this week. All right, it's go time.
Come on, somebody!
And welcome to another edition of Come On Somebody. Now, let's just jump straight to the point. I'm not about to sit here and act like things are all gravy right now, because it's not. But at the same time, it ain't boo-boo. With a couple of minor adjustments here and there, we right back in that thing. And it starts with our sons. Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, we the pappy. Just 4 weeks ago, we just thumped y'all in the back of y'all head, 24-0. Where I'm from, we call that a skunk. And this right here, this is what we say with our chest. Y'all know how the game go. Come on, somebody.
E, what is happening? This your boy, Steve-O.
Yeah.
Word to the wise. Don't ever give up on Duval. Let's go, Jags.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. If you already gave up on our Jags, you are not a fan. Be gone, peasants.
Oh, you going down.
E.T. Hoove, baby, here.
What you got for me, Hoove, baby?
Come on, everybody. The Jags win this week for all us fans in Duval.
Duval. Come on, somebody.
This Sunday in Indy, the Jags will shut out the Colts again. Good day.
Man, we deserve to go to jail if we did our sons like that again. Come on, somebody.
I'm sick and tired of these football fans thinking Trevor is a bust. This is not college, folks.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me.
I defy them to find a Hall of Fame quarterback that did well his first year, or even second, or possibly even third. Come on, folks. This isn't college. Have some freaking patience.
Yeah, folks. What he said. Freaking patience.
E.T., you see, what we got here is a victim of circumstance.
Oh, it sounds like you about to spit some knowledge or something. All right, you got my attention.
You see, a Jag fan like me,
Mm-hmm.
I was born here.
Same here.
I was raised here.
Me too.
I'm a Jag fan for life.
Did we just become best friends?
It's Duval till we die.
And I stand on that.
That's it. Not Duval till we cry.
Nope.
Duval till we give up. It's Duval till we die.
Dog got on my line and started preaching. Go ahead.
Now we about to go into Indy this week. We about to bust out a can of whooping.
Confidence? Okay. What flavor?
Let me hear it now. Come on, somebody.
Stop playing with my mans. You see, that's the type of energy that I'm on. 24/7, 365. That's that Duval County energy. Now, we done handled what we needed to handle here. Let's go and support our boys as they head up to Indy. So in conclusion, I want to add one more thing. Come on, somebody! Let's go!
Well, go ahead. That would be awesome, playing in the locker room about 5 minutes before kickoff.
It is actually a pretty good idea, right? I mean, the ET is the hype man extraordinaire, and I mean that in the best possible way. But since I was challenged, Brian,
yes,
Dan Marino set league passing and touchdown records in his second season that stood for decades. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson each won the MVP in their second year in the league, and that was Mahomes' first year starting. So if you challenge us to find a Hall of Fame level quarterback who excelled in his second year,
they've been there.
There are a bunch of them out there.
But I can give you a couple of guys who didn't until their third season.
No doubt.
Right?
No
Terry
doubt.
Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, Aaron Rodgers.
But to suggest it never happens is...
It happens. But I think the point is everybody's different. Circumstances are different. Look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert lands in L.A. He's got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Two of the biggest, best receivers. They don't have that here. The game breakers, right? They're trying to build that here. circumstances.
Don't get me wrong.
Factor into it.
Yeah, I'm not down on Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence. I think he's still got all the tools and all the potential that he's possessed since the moment they selected him in the draft. But at the same time,
when you make a throw like that last week, everybody gets the opportunity to push that button.
There's no doubt about it. And I think the immediate reaction, there was a lot of that bus talk, but that's in the first 24 hours, 48 hours.
Emotion
a lot of people
takes
are
over.
emotional. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, folks, we have a lot more to come. Join us as this week's Baptist Health Player interview, plus CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco. The Colts and Jaguars are less than 3 hours away, but you're enjoying the Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
What makes that famous call
"Dinner's ready"
even better? It's cooking a great meal with natural gas, enjoying faster cooking times and precise temperature control. And now getting a valuable cash rebate up to $300 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas range or cooktop.
Anyone want seconds?
When you show your home love with natural gas, it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Rolling along here on a Sunday morning, hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey. Jaguars Colts coming up right here at 1 o'clock from Lucas Oil Field, where the roof will be open. And they don't open it very often, at least all the years I've been going up there. I can't remember it being open for a Jaguars game.
I don't either. Do they roll it, or like the roof rolls, or they have just like those high windows
back.
kind of things? Is that what it is?
The roof is a pinnacle, and it just slides down, right? And then the window in the end zone to the city slides. They roll all the way, so you kind of have an open air feel to it. And they spend like $150 million on it, and they don't open it very often, which is interesting because you think if you're going to have it, you might leave it open in the fall. But whatever, it's open today.
Gotcha.
One thing I can count every week is your conversation with Pete Prisco.
Yeah, and
you look forward to that.
Obviously, we're going to get into the matchup today against the Colts, but it started off asking Pete, just because I'm scratching my head, how the Jaguars can continue to run into the same roadblock over and over when it comes to a team like the Houston Texans.
It's really one of the strange things in this league. I mean, they've just dominated them for what, 10 years. And it's just amazing, other than 2017, how they can't beat them. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I thought there might be a little bit, I thought maybe a letdown, but talking to people, that wasn't the case. They had a great week of practice, and I don't understand it, Mike. It's one of those things in this league that you can't explain, but there's no reason that loss should have happened last week. None.
Well, Trevor Lawrence had played exceptional football, particularly in weeks 2 and 3. He was AFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against the Chargers, and we were thinking maybe he's turning a bit of a corner here early in his second season, Pete, and then 2 back-to-back not-so-great performances here. Are we just going to have to ride the emotional roller coaster a little bit with a second-year QB?
Yeah, and one of the things he has to learn how to do, Mike, is take the check down. I mean, there were a couple plays when you watched the tape last week where, he's trying to fit a ball down the field where he shouldn't, where he has a check down that can get you, 8-10 yards and maybe even a first down, maybe even a lot more. So I think that's the next progression for him, is to go through his progressions. I mean, get down, get off, you go to 1, you go to 2, you go to 3, but, it's not always there. Go to 4. You take the check down. It's available. It's been available the last couple of weeks on some big plays, and he hasn't taken it. So I think that's the next step for him. But for anybody out there really worrying about him, don't be. He's going to be a big-time player.
All right, Pete, let's focus on the Indianapolis Colts. Chance for the Jags to get back on the right side of the one-loss column today, and on a team that they dominated in Week 2 won't necessarily be as easy on the road, and the Colts played without their top 2 receivers in that first game. Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, how much of a difference can they make today?
Well, they can make a difference, but I think this game's going to come down to the Jacksonville front against that Indianapolis offensive line, which has been woeful. I mean, and that's being kind. I mean, they've moved a bunch of guys around. They still can't protect the quarterback. Matt Ryan's taking brutal hits. So I think it's going to be one of those games where, it's nice to have your receivers back, but if you could put that quarterback on his back, it's not going to matter. So it's about Trayvon Walker, it's about Josh Allen and that gang getting up the field and attacking the quarterback.
What did you make of the pass rush so far? They had success against Indy the first time, but you're laying out all the reasons why every team does. Overall, they talked about the pressure they've gotten, but not getting the quarterback on the ground a ton.
Yeah, and I think that's the next step for a guy like Walker. I mean, he's been a really good player. He's strong. He's physical. He anchors in against the run. He makes plays, but he's got to be better rushing the passer. He's got to learn some moves. He can't just go bull rush a guy or get into the chest of a guy. He's got to learn how to go around him. And, Allen's had a good year, but they got to get the guy on the ground. I mean, that's the most important thing. Everybody always says, sacks don't matter. Yes, they do. Get him on the ground. Those are plays that can flip a field. Those are plays that can change momentum. So I think they have to start improving that pass rush.
Talking here with CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco. Pete, last week, Travis Etienne had a bit of a breakout game, averaged 7.1 yards per carry. Do you expect to see more of him going forward? And are we on the brink of maybe that really breakout performance? He had 3 plays of 20 yards or more last week.
Yeah, and almost had a long run. He almost popped one of those runs. He gives them more, explosiveness and nothing against James Robinson. James Robinson's story is incredible. He's been a phenomenal story this year coming back off an injury. But, I'll go back to the 4th down play. James Robinson missed what should have been a 10-yard run and ran into the back of his offensive lineman where there was a bunch of congestion. I think Etn takes that, runs up the middle, gets the first down, maybe even a lot more. So there's a difference in the 2 styles. I think you're going to see more and more. The question with Etn is, can he handle the load in between the tackles? He's not a big guy. He gets hit a bunch. So I think that's the number one question with Etn. Can he handle more carries? I think he can. I would give him more.
Finally, Pete, we like to emphasize the importance of each game early in the season, right? Oh, is this one must win? Is that one a must win? I'm not saying it's a must win, but man, you'd hate to see this team fall to 2-4 after starting 2-1 with back-to-back division losses. How close is it to a early season must win, and do you think the Jags will get that W?
Well, I think they need to get it. Again, the perception of this franchise is they rise up, beat the Chargers, lose to the Eagles, and then lose to the Texans, and you're back. Okay, here they are. They're back to being the Jaguars again. So if you can go to Indianapolis and dominate the Colts again, you're not going to shut them out, but if you can go up there and dominate them again, I think it puts you back in the good light when the perception area, but it also puts your team back in the good light because you're being smack dab in the middle of the division race. So it's a big game. I think they do go up there and win the game. I think their defensive line is going to dominate a bad offensive line, and that's going to show up. So, yes, I think this is an enormous game for the franchise. It's an enormous game for young players. It's a huge game for Trevor Lawrence, and I think they'll all respond and they'll win the game.
Yeah, it's hopeful that the defensive line can dominate without Foley Fatukasi in there. But in terms of the pass rush, he's not a big component of that anywhere. And then Matt Ryan's a guy who's been getting battered all season long. Brian has had terrible ball security issues. Both throwing the 3 interceptions against the Jags, has fumbled it a ton this year as well.
I don't know where you saw this number, but since 1970, he's the only quarterback through 5 games to throw 7 interceptions, have 10 or more fumbles, and be sacked more than 20 times. I mean, he has just had a horrific start, and yet they're 2-1 and a half a game in front of this franchise.
Right.
So,
and feeling good about themselves at the moment.
So you got to go get that done. The Foley news early in the week seemed to me to be a real disadvantage for these guys, with especially Jonathan Taylor looking, practicing like he was going to play. Now that he's not going to play, all right, now Corey Peters has to step in. But he at least can give you some pass rush from the center of the line. So.
Right, and you're going up against Deion Jackson and Phillip Lindsay today, which, if they were as good as Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, they'd be playing in front of those guys. And obviously Jonathan Taylor may be the best back in the league.
They're good enough, though, to get you 3.5, 4 yards of carry, and that will take the pressure off of Matt Ryan, so the Jaguars have to stop them early in the ball game so they can tee off and get after him. All right, other side of the offensive line, and that is the Jaguars' offensive line, which will be playing today without Ben Bartch. Ben Bartch was injured, gone for the season on IR, and it's a loss because whether you recognize it or not, the coaching staff knows how important Ben Bartch has been to this offensive line. So enter this week's Baptist Health Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute player interview. They are the official sports medicine provider of the Jaguars, and Tyler Shatley is ready for whatever, and that's the mindset of a former undrafted rookie free agent. And he's already the longest tenured player in the locker room, which is amazing. He's been here since 2014, and this isn't his first rodeo. He's made 33 starts at both guard and center since 2014. He learned a long time ago, you're just one play away from being on the field.
Hoping that he gets better quick. Obviously it's pretty serious, and hoping that everything goes well for that. You hate to see it happen because, he's playing well. Hate to see anybody get hurt, but like you said, one play away, and that's just obviously I've made a career out of it, so I always try to be ready.
Guard, center, does it matter to you? Are you ready to play either at any moment in time, or does it require more from you this week?
I'm definitely ready either way, because like I said, I kind of understand how it works, but they are different animals for sure between guard and center, but that's part of the job. That's, so just got to get ready.
You said you've made a career out of it, and it is kind of funny. You have made a career out of finding a way to find a way. How have you done it? What has given you the intellect, the strength, the wisdom to be able to endure and then persevere and finally succeed?
I've just been surrounded by some great guys. We've had a lot of, when I first got here, a lot of good guys in the locker room and the O-line that, I could kind of watch and learn from. A lot of great coaching. And just kind of, craft myself and learn these different positions and to be serviceable so that way I can play all of them and like I said, make a career out of it.
So much of the offensive line is about cohesion. It's about working together and communicating. Is there a drop-off when you step in until you pick it up to that level, or do you have the relationships to be able just to keep it where it was?
I hope I've got the relationship, and that's what we practice during the week. During the week, it's not uncommon for me to, be in there with at center with Sheriff and Bartch, or to be in there at guard with Cam and Luke. So, and that's why we practice. And we rotate guys in and out for this situation right here, so that way there is some cohesion and can hopefully make the transitions smoother in the unfortunate circumstance when it happens.
You're seeing the Colts for the second time in the first 6 weeks of the season. Is that an advantage in any way?
Yes, because it's still fresh, but they're saying the same thing. Like, they've seen us, they know what we got. I'm sure they've obviously made some corrections, and I'm sure they're going to be ready for us. And so we're just, it's going to be a battle.
There's been a lot of talk out in the media world about the running game, and are the Jaguars running the ball enough? Is that funny to you as an offensive lineman to be talking about the Jaguars running the ball enough? Because this has always been a run-the-ball team.
Right, yeah. As an offensive lineman, yeah, I'm all for running the ball. You can call a run every play, and I'd be happy. But obviously, we got to do what it takes to win. And
we don't get paid to call the plays, so we're just out here. We're just trying to do our job, do what the play called.
The offense has changed. I mean, the game has changed. It's a passing first league now. As an offensive lineman, you have to adapt to that.
Absolutely, yeah. So, like I said, just adapt to it and just run the play called, honestly. And we trust that the coaches are putting us in the best position to win, and we just got to execute.
You were here the last time the Jaguars had a playoff team and a roster, I think, that is as good as the one you have right now. Do you feel like there's some traction ahead for this team where you play consistent football, which seems to be the thing this team is lacking right now?
Yeah, I think if we can play consistent football, we'll give ourselves a chance. And, that's really what the NFL is, who can play the most consistent week in, week out and give themselves a chance at the end of the year.
Shatley has a huge challenge in front of him today. DeForest Buckner, who is long. He's 6'8". He's got long arms and big hands. And if there's a knock on Shatley, if there's a reason why all the years he's been here that he's not been able to become a full-time starter, it's because he doesn't have that great length. Today, he's got to find a way to get into DeForest Buckner and keep him from getting into Trevor Lawrence.
And don't kid yourself. I think if you polled the average Jaguar observer, fan, or otherwise, they'd say Ben Bartch is probably the guy you could most afford to lose on the offensive line because of Shatley's presence. But there's a reason Bartch was starting here. They're not handing out these starting assignments, right? We all assumed that the younger Walker Little would be the right tackle, but it was a true competition, and Juwan Taylor won that. Ben Bartch won the left guard job because he was the better option. So, I don't think it's a tremendous fall-off. I have confidence in Tyler Shatley to do an adequate job wherever he lines up, but, there is that still lingering in the back of the mind.
Well, if folks are wondering, there was a stretch in 2017 when Brandon Linder couldn't play center. He was gone for 5 weeks, and Shatley stepped in and played well. That's what they need him to do right now. Of course, he'll have to battle with Cole Van Lanen, who's dealing with an ankle. Doug Peterson said this week that'll be a competition week to week. The job isn't being handed to him saying, you've got it the rest of the way. He's got to earn it today on the field, and then he's got to earn it through the course of the remainder of the season. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, Hall of Famer Tony Boselli and Jeff Lageman join us from the broadcast booth. But first,
I got to be ready for anything. We know them, they know us, so it's a matter of just, who executes better.
That is former Jaguars tight end and current Jaguars tight ends coach Richard Angulo, who joins me for a conversation about today's game in Indianapolis. All that and more straight ahead as hour number 1 of the Publix Tailgate Show continues here on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The original Pizza Logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original Pizza Log. There's only one. The original Pizza Log. Yeah.
Your pet means the world to you. So Pet Paradise created a slice of paradise just for them. Pet Paradise is your complete pet health care destination with resort-style day camp, overnight boarding, professional grooming, and compassionate veterinary care from New Day, all located under one roof. Pet Paradise has over 50 locations to serve pet fanatics like you nationwide. Book today at petparadise.com, the official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi Jags fans, Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by VyStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey. Jaguars and Colts coming up at 1 o'clock, and it's time for our weekly commentary from Rick Ballou.
Week 6 in the NFL, and good luck trying to figure out what's happening in the AFC South. Today, Jacksonville in Indianapolis to take on the Colts, who are the lowest scoring offense in the NFL, yet they're in second place in the AFC South. They're ahead of Jacksonville. Of course, the Jags pounded them back in Week 2 in Duval by the final of 24-0. The Colts then went out, knocked off Kansas City, yet they can't win a divisional game where they are 0-2-1. It gets even weirder. Enter Tennessee. They lead the AFC South, yet they're the third worst team in the conference as far as point differential, -22. The Colts are the second worst at -25. The Jaguars, you ask, +31. They're third in the AFC behind only Buffalo and Kansas City. Yeah, they're also third in the AFC South. Interesting stuff. Go figure. Today, well, it's all about the Jaguars taking on a Colts team that is really beaten up. The Colts have also struggled mightily on the offensive line. Quarterback Matt Ryan has fumbled the football 11 times. All right, he's lost 3 of them, but still 11 fumbles this time during the season is really a bizarre statistic. Everything has been about Trevor Lawrence. All the talk, everywhere you go. The feeling is Trevor has directly affected the 5 outcomes of these first 5 games. You can make that point probably about any quarterback in the NFL. Bottom line, he hasn't played well the last couple of weeks. Look for Christian Kirk to reemerge today. He's been on a milk carton the last couple of Sundays. He'll be in the slot. That really sizes up well against Gus Bradley's defense. Also, 4 carries in the second half last Sunday for Travis Etienne. That is disappointing. I think we're beginning to see him emerge. I expect a big day today for Etn, and I'll also say this. I think he scores his first NFL touchdown.
You know, I've been asked all week about an angry Colts team. And I thought if we were going to see an angry Colts team, Mike, we would have seen it in week 2 here, right? Because remember, the coach painted the score of that loss from January in their locker room. There was all the talk about them skipping out of the playoffs because of it. I would think what they may see today is an angry Colts crowd. This is the first time they've seen Indianapolis since they've beaten them in back-to-back games. And the Jaguars have won 4 of the last 6. I think the Colts fans might be a little riled up at the Jaguars.
They probably will be, and they probably should be, Brian. But, you know, I presume that they've been fired up the last several trips up to Indy. You know, it's funny how much the Jags have dominated that series playing at home.
Right.
And it hasn't been the case on the road. And you think, what's really the big difference other than some crowd noise? But look, the difference here is that Indy just is struggling to score points, right? So they can be as mad as they want. If the Jags get to 21, based on the way the season has gone, they'll win the football game today. Indy hasn't hit that number once in 5 weeks.
All right, a guy who played in the Indy series here in Jacksonville and is now coaching against the Colts is tight ends coach Richard Angulo. He was a reserve tight end on that 2007 team that led the NFL in rushing, and he understands that he has to have his tight ends ready today against the Colts.
It's kind of the natural evolution of it, you know what I mean? Especially when I was playing, it was tight ends were blockers essentially. Now tight ends are shaking and wiggling in their routes and stuff. So, but no, it's just kind of the natural trend that went that way, and it's, it is what it is, I guess.
Can this team still line up and play with power like that? Do most teams still have the ability to run the ball with power like you guys did in 2007 with Fred and Maurice?
Yeah, like here we have Manhurts. He's definitely a special guy in the run game. So we definitely have the tools to be able to do that stuff. So, and again, not all teams do have guys like that. They try to make do with what they have. We're bringing linemen in. So, but I think here it's a special group. We have the guys to do that. So we can definitely pound the rock if we need to, yeah.
Manhurts came in here sort of as a quiet free agent. He wasn't that high-profile pass-catching tight end. He's really impressed me with his work ethic. What do you see from him on a day-to-day basis?
He's a perfectionist. He wants to know every detail of every step, the different looks. He just comes to work every day. Really, all the guys, it's really a blessing for the room I have, because they all truly want to get better. They're not scared of working. They know it starts with hard work, and they embrace it. So they don't try to endure it and try to get through practice. They really want to work and kind of refine everything. So they work on their craft daily, and as a coach, I mean, that's all you can ask for.
It seems to me there are some guys in your room that do some things better. Chris as a run blocker, Evan Ingram as a pass catcher, but it seems like they're all trying to be complete tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. You always got to work on every phase. It's not like you can just shoebox yourself into one category or the other. So, and like I said, they all do a good job. When called upon to do whatever it is, there's no questions. It's just you just go, and that's the mentality they have. So, yeah, definitely pleased with their approach and everything.
Do you like playing in the division early in the season?
I do, for sure. Things always shake out towards the end. You play early in the season, could be a totally different game towards the end of the season. So it kind of is what it is. Do I have a preference? Not really, but it's kind of nice to get a head start on it.
How about when you get a team like you have the Colts for the second time in the first 6 weeks of the season? Is there an advantage one way or the other?
A little bit, because you really don't see a lot of change in just a couple games. At the same time, too, though, there's going to be some differences. So you got to be ready for anything, really. So it is a little odd, having playing not back to back, but in such a close, part of the schedule. So, but yeah, you just got to be ready for anything. We know them, they know us. So it's a matter of just who executes better.
You've played and coached in this game a long time. Is there such a thing as a revenge game? Because they're thinking about it, or at least fans are thinking about it.
100%. The common answer is like, no, every game's its own entity, things like that. But for sure, there's always extra feelings with certain teams, certain games, or if you had a tough loss or a big win, whatever it is. There's always something a little extra or something for certain people. So for sure, I definitely believe 100%.
And how are you adjusting to life back in Jacksonville after being gone for so many years?
Oh, I love it. I love Florida. So it's good to be back. It's good to really feel like we're building something here, something special, and to be a part of that. I kind of feel like I have a little bit more skin in the game because I did play here. But yeah, I just feel blessed to be a part of where we're at and what's going to happen here. So,
welcome back.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't know whether people remember him or not, but he was the third tight end on what was a basketball team in the tight ends room. Mercedes Lewis was 6'7", Zach Potter was 6'7", Richard Ngula was 6'8".
Yeah, and a couple of things he said stood out to me. A, what's the problem with admitting there are revenge games, right? I mean, we know that it's human nature, right? And so many guys will go out of their way to say, well, next man up, next team up, that's all that's important. Okay, Richard Ngula is just telling you the truth that we all know. And the other thing is, for this position group, the Colts have given up 4 touchdowns to tight ends this year in 5 games. So the opportunity has been there. Teams have taken advantage of it. The Jags didn't need that the first time they played. They got them from Kirk and from James Robinson, but might be an opportunity for Evan Ingram to do some damage today.
All right. We're going to the broadcast booth when we return. But first, PRI Productions is the official event production company of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. Hour number 2 comes up at 11. JP Shadrick joins Mike Dempsey, but first, we'll take a break. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking, we'll punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Final segment of hour number one here at the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian Sexton with Mike Dempsey. And time now for the first round on us. And Jeff Lageman and Tony Boselli are in the booth at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And we'll begin with Finding Solutions, brought to you by UF Health, delivering compassionate care and world-class solutions. That's our game plan. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Morning, Brian.
Let's start with the obvious, and that is, how do you find the solution for the young quarterback? How do you get him started early today and get him into that positive rhythm that they've talked about all week?
I think it's a great question. And most teams you would say, okay, they're going to come out and run the ball and maybe get them some easy completions and be a little bit slow to move the offense towards the passing game, but that's not how this offense works. I mean, Doug Peterson's got a quarterback-centric offense, and they're just going to keep on coaching Trevor until he finds some of the short stuff and takes what's there and keep working with him. I mean, that's just part of the deal and the growth of a quarterback, Brian.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff. This offense is a pass-first offense. Doug has talked about it. You pass to score and run to win. And I don't think he's going to change. I don't think he should change the offense to, in response to Trevor's last couple of weeks, because what that sends a message is you don't trust your guy. And I think the biggest thing that he can do for Trevor Lawrence is say, we trust you, and try to get some confidence in the young quarterback, because he's already thinking, he's already struggling a little bit after the last 2 weeks, and going away and saying, we're going to run it heavy and get away from the passing game or whatever, I think it's the wrong message. I'd walk up to him and say, Trevor, we are riding with you. We've got confidence in you. Here's the game plan, and we're going right at this Colts defense.
You got 7 giveaways in the last 2 weeks, Brian, and that's got to change, though. I mean, there's no doubt about it because If the performance doesn't change, then confidence starts to erode around the quarterback, and that's not what you want.
Yep.
Well, guys, in week 2, it seemed like Trevor Lawrence did take what the Colts were giving him, right? And the Jags were pretty consistent throughout and built up a lead and were able to coast to victory. So what adjustments do you think Gus Bradley's defense will have for the Jaguars offense today?
Well, I mean, Gus is going to do what he does. His base defense is cover 3. I think we're going to see more man today, though. And they've been playing more man the last couple weeks as you watch the tape. And so, Mike, I think, trying to take away some of that underneath stuff that we really took advantage of a few weeks ago. And so I expect more man, more of the defense backs up in the receivers' faces, and see if they can make Trevor hold the ball a little bit and force him to take some shots down the field.
Yeah, and I would look forward to seeing if that's the case, because Christian Kirk last week only had 1 catch. I think the week before he had 2. And if you're going to play him and man, he's got to win.
That's right.
I mean, Christian Kirk has to win versus man coverage. Now, the zone coverage has been an issue for Trevor. Last week, Lovie Smith ran, I think it was like 98% cover 2, and absolutely shut down Trevor for the most part.
And Jeff, real quick there, and the problem there is, you're exactly right, and what Trevor didn't do is take what the defense is giving him, is the check down. He could have checked it down all day.
So here's the question. Will Gus Bradley run man, or will he see what Lovie Smith did and play the cover 3 zone and then maybe mix in cover 2 and keep all eyes on the quarterback? Because the one issue that Trevor is having is that when he drops back a lot of times, he's not moving anybody with his eyes.
He's looking at half the field.
He's looking at half the field, and he's kind of looking in the general area where the ball eventually goes, and it's allowing his own defense to react in a very positive fashion to break up some balls. So, Mike, I think it's a great question, but the one thing we know for certain is that Gus Bradley doesn't really alter the defense much for really anything. He's going to be a pretty much a shell cover 3. Will he mix in some man? Yes. But I don't think we're going to see something that just goes crazy out of whack, where he comes out and runs 98% of cover 3 this week. I still think it's going to be a mix.
Guys, we talked about Matt Ryan's ball security issues. He's been under siege with the pass rush all season long. Jags had 5 sacks in week 2. Yet you had Trayvon Walker come out this week and say that they feel like Matt Ryan's a sitting duck back there. That may be true. I don't know how you feel about him putting that out there, but do you think they'll be able to replicate the kind of pass rush they had in that first matchup with the Colts?
Well, Mike, you're right. And that you had a mistake in last week's game against the Texans that allowed the Texans to keep a drive alive to go for the go-ahead score, and then you're going to come out and say that Matt Ryan's a sitting duck. I mean, that goes back to Nuke LaLoosh or whatever it is, the old baseball movie. Here,
Bull Durham.
Yep. Okay, take notes here. Okay, and one of those notes was not to say that the quarterback is a sitting duck. Okay, it's to not say anything, even if he is a sitting duck. In the privacy when the door is closed in the defensive line room and linebackers room, you can talk all you want about him being a sitting duck. Well, now what you did is you gave motivation to an offensive line that's been struggling. So another mistake by Trayvon Walker, and you just can't do that. And he's a young player, and he's got to learn. And part of learning is not to say something like that because, Mike, you're right. Matt Ryan has had a major issue in the offensive line for the Colts. They're not playing good, and that includes Quentin Nelson, their left guard, who's an all-pro guy. And then they've had issues at tackle. They've moved guys around last week. This week you're probably going to get the rookie tackle at left tackle. And last week you had like 4 penalties. And then Pryor, who was the left tackle, moved to right tackle last week. And he's given up 5 sacks on the year. So, man, you just let sleeping dogs lie. You don't awake them by saying, boy, the quarterback's a sitting duck.
All right, running game, fellas. James Robinson, 23 carries in the first matchup and only 9 for Travis Etienne. But Travis Etienne seemed so close to a real breakout game last week, and he opened the second half with the starting offense. Do you think that balance evens itself out a little bit more today?
Yeah, I do. I think you're going to see more Travis Etienne. He's the big play threat, and I agree with you, Mike. He's very close a bunch of times and just taking it to the house. And I think he gives you a different dynamic. I still don't think he's like an every down back, so I think it's going to be a good mixture of him and James Robinson, but I do think you'll see more equity in the number of carries each guy gets.
Yeah, and Etienne's explosive. I mean, it's 78 touchdowns at Clemson. We haven't seen one yet, but what we saw last week where he had 13 touches, 114-odd yards or something like that, and how he was explosive, bringing the offense off of the goal line with that little one-cut downhill run off of Brandon Sheriff, and then followed it up with a really nice run down the field again on a little zone read type of thing with Trevor. I mean, it's just impressive. And look, I'm not. The one thing I think people sometimes have a tendency to do is to jump to conclusions, and they're kind of trying to say, well, Travis Etienne should be the guy, and that James Robinson should not be playing that much. Well, wait a minute. James Robinson also has some special abilities. The disappointing thing with James last week, boy, at 4th and 1, he missed a read in a big fashion. And that's not typical James Robinson, but you got to find a way to play both guys, and hopefully you're putting some first downs together to where we're talking at the end of the game about how, these guys both were good, because that means you're putting plays together and you're scoring and getting first downs.
All right, guys, quickly on the Colts running game, no Jonathan Taylor, no Nyheim Hines, but no Foley Fatukasi today. Still, should the Jaguars' run defense, in your opinion, be able to handle Deion Jackson and Phillip Lindsay?
You hope so.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, arguably the best back in the league, and Nyheim Hines, who is a great receiver out of the backfield. And I didn't think either one of them will play, so I wasn't anticipating them to play. But Deion Jackson had a good game last week now. I mean, got a game ball from the Colts. Capable runner. Phillip Lindsay can't find the hole if you let him there. So I expect Phillip Lindsay to not play as much because they've activated him and a rookie, an undrafted rookie, Devontae Price today. So I think Deion Jackson and Price are going to get the bulk of the carries. But no question the Colts are going to come out run first because Matt Ryan's not playing well enough for you to do anything else. And your offensive line is not playing well enough for you to do anything else.
All right, that's first rounds on us. Tony, Jeff, have a good call today. Mike, I'm stepping aside. JP Shadrick's going to fill these seats, this space, in just a few minutes.
We'll try to bring you a W, Brian, so we can celebrate next week.
Well, it's a big opportunity for this football team, no doubt. If you go and get this one today, you're half a game out of first place in the AFC South, which is right where everyone thought they'd be, right?
No doubt about it. Well, they'll tell you that anyway.
Yeah, exactly, without a doubt. All right, that's the Public Tailgate Show, hour number 1. JP Shadrick is with you for hour number 2 and get you ready for kickoff.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Even putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Yingling Traditional Lager. The beer for drinkers who know how to tap into their inner eagle and spread their wings. So prepare yourself for takeoff and let your night take flight. Liftoff. When your lips meet that cold, crisp amber lager, there's no looking back. So fly over the radar. Tonight's about the lager, and this lager is all about soaring higher. Yingling Traditional Lager. Spread your wings. DJ Yingling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please drink responsibly.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
We've spent a lot of time in our homes. I'm on a Zoom call.
Dinner's ready.
But we've learned that when we love our home, it loves us right back. Now you can keep that love going when you install energy-efficient natural gas appliances and earn up to $1,925 in cash rebates. You'll love endless hot water, faster drying and cooking times, and ongoing savings and comfort. To learn more and how to qualify, Visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
And it's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We're 2 hours away from week number 6. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-3. The Indianapolis Colts 2-1. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bankfield and the Jaguars Radio Network studios. It's the second round against the Colts. The first round went pretty well, 24-0 back in week 2. This Colts team banged up a bit. A couple of running backs are out. Matt Ryan, as the guys just talked about, a sitting duck back there in the pocket, it feels like. Jags got to him 5 sacks in week 2. Would love to replicate that again today, but a win today for this Jags team, Mike. Hey, they're right back in it, and right second place in the AFC South, and a lot of football ahead.
Right, this is a test of the NFL mantra of putting the last one behind you, right? Because, look, there's no making that game up. That game could haunt the Jaguars all season long. Don't know. But all you can do is win enough games going forward to make it not matter. So hopefully there's no hangover there, JP. You're right. It went almost perfectly the first time. And they didn't have their starting 2 receivers and their middle linebacker today. They don't have their top 2 running backs. That middle linebacker is still out, and they also lost one of their starting defensive ends in Kwity Paye. So this is a beat-up Colts team, and I know the Jags are missing a couple of starters of their own, but when you size them up side by side, more of an advantage for Jacksonville.
But still a team that has to learn to go win a game like this and finish a game like this. Road games still in the NFL and certainly in the division. That's never a given.
This team should know it, at least the ones who've been here for a while, and the new guys coming in have been around the block a little bit in the National Football League for the most part, except for the rookies, that you just can't show up and beat anybody in the NFL. Like on paper. And this is the way I described it this week when people say, well, how can you say that they're better than the Texans? Well, I think if you took 2 GMs, any 2 GMs out of a hat, you said take the top, all the players on both teams, let's each draft the top 20, okay? I think you'd have about 25 Jags and about 15 Texans. I think they have better personnel. They have a better roster. That doesn't mean you can just show up and beat a team. I'm not saying that was the sole cause last week, but they've got to have a focused effort today, despite the fact that they blew out the Colts the first time.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better, and here are some of today's top stories, starting with quarterback play for the Jaguars under the microscope. Trevor Lawrence has been responsible for 7 giveaways the last 2 games combined. And for Lawrence, there are always reminders when plays break down.
Don't make a bad play worse, as far as if we didn't get the look we necessarily thought we were going to have, or first couple guys aren't open, you don't make a bad play worse. Throw the ball away, scramble for no gain, a yard or 2, whatever it is, and move on to the next play. And that's kind of the lesson to learn. Just you relearn these things all the time playing this sport, because it's you think you got something and then you make that mistake again, and you just have to keep going back to the little things.
It's constant reminders for a young quarterback, and we've had this argument. You can argue, it's last year doesn't count, but the experience does. But this is a new system. Either way, it's still a 24-year-old quarterback.
It is, but it's also a quarterback that played against this very team a month ago and played very well. So do it again, right? Like, show that consistency. And there's nothing, as Trevor was talking about turnovers, there's nothing that will be a quicker equalizer than that. The Jags picked off Matt Ryan 3 times in the first game. The Colts fumbled it twice. Jacksonville didn't recover, but that was 5 opportunities to get turnovers, and the Jaguars didn't turn it over once. No fumbles, no interceptions, nothing. So play clean football today, and if Trevor Lawrence does that, I think it goes a long way towards getting a sweep of Indianapolis.
Trevor officially 23, by the way.
Yeah, 23.
10 days ago. Yeah.
So happy belated birthday.
As I said, talking with Brian Sexton earlier, he's younger than Kenny Pickett. I mean, when you put it in perspective, there are like Skylar Thompson, who's going to start as a rookie today for Miami, is 25 years old. And I'm not saying you should wait until Trevor's 25 before you expect him to be good, but we want it all so quickly, and when he has those games back-to-back like he did early this year, you think he's arrived.
The quarterback, of course, priority number one, but from offensive coordinator Press Taylor's perspective, it's not just the QB who could make some adjustments.
That's 2 games in a 17-game season that he hasn't, like I said, in the offense has not performed the way we expect to perform, and we're all in it together. So it's not Trevor alone struggled, it's we all struggled as a unit. Anytime your defense holds somebody to 13 points and you can't score enough to win, you take a lot of responsibility and ownership of that, and that's what everybody's done. That's been the good part about struggling right there is there's everybody's taking accountability for what we did, and we're working to be better this week.
A drop here by a receiver, a missed hole on a 4th and 1 there by a running back, just little nuances there that could help out the quarterback and help this offense move.
I mean, it goes without saying you're not going to win many football games if you can't score 7 points in the National Football League, right? And it just goes to show you, though, JP, the importance of winning no matter how ugly the game is. The Colts coming off an incredibly ugly game against the Broncos, but they're feeling great about themselves because they scored 12 to the Broncos 9. If the Jags had stopped Houston on that touchdown drive and you didn't have that Trayvon Walker personal foul, and they somehow find a way to go down and get a field goal and win it 9-6, you can pick apart the issues, but you say, you know what? We overcame, we got the W, and you're feeling good about yourself. Now you're putting yourself out there with a chance to extend a losing streak, so you got to get it done today.
Jaguars defense facing a Colts team led by 37-year-old quarterback Matt Ryan, and linebacker Foye Oluokun explained what Ryan does well when he's playing well.
It's the timing of routes. He's always getting the ball out on time, and then you're going to see him hitting receivers in stride, putting the ball, good ball placement. I know he's good at that, so it's our job to get him off the spot. I mean, he knows that. Everybody's going to try to get him off the spot and rush him and try to pressure him as a quarterback, trying to speed up his timing or make sure he's looking at the rush and not the development of the routes downfield. But it's our job to get to the quarterback this game after stopping the run. That's first and foremost, stop the run, and then play defense from there.
The Colts offensive line has had their issues, of course, this season. We mentioned the running backs who are banged up right now, and teams have been able to tee off on Ryan, the most tied for the most sacks allowed in the NFL.
Right. Well, you hope that continues today because he has his top 2 wide receivers back. Obviously, you don't want to give him time to find them. They're both big, physical, contested catch-capable receivers, and Alec Pierce has a little bit of field-stretching speed on top of that. So this is, from that standpoint, a much stiffer challenge for the Jaguars secondary if the pass rush doesn't get to Matt Ryan today. I have a feeling it will because that's been the case all season long, but nevertheless, he's got weapons if he has time.
Quick turn for these teams. 2 games in a month span against the Colts, and wide receiver Marvin Jones earlier this week said it's a simple approach the second time around.
It's just another week, and that's how we have to approach every game. And obviously, this is what happens every year. You're gonna have quick turnarounds. I think we had one last year. I mean, I think I've had a quick turnaround with a team every year in my career. But you just it's all about you, So I think that's the approach for us to do business as usual and get better at the things we need to get better at.
Later in the week, Marvin Jones was downgraded to out of this game with an injury. And we've seen in the past, of course, we've seen against the Texans, I think a few years ago, 2 games in a 3-week span. So that's not unheard of to play a divisional game this close together. It is also certainly a divisional game, and Roy Robertson-Harris knows it's a huge game for the Jaguars on the road. A win, and they'd be up to 2-1 in the AFC South. Roy Robertson-Harris knows what's at stake today.
We're preparing with that mindset. When we beat Indy the first game, man, we had that mindset, okay, we're number 1 in the division, but you gotta prove it every single week, and especially when you're playing a division opponent. So we just gotta prove it on Sunday, man. And like I said before, we prepping for that, and we getting ready to do that.
Big piece of this defensive line, of course, for the Jaguars. Roy Robertson-Harris has that mindset. This team, they look at it every day. As we mentioned, most weeks they walk right in. They see the divisional signage on the wall right by the locker room, and it's priority number 1. It's the easiest route to the playoffs.
Sure. They saw it last week as well, right? It
Right.
didn't really matter in the end. And what I hope is they don't look at this and say, "This is a team we beat 24-0, and now Jonathan Taylor's not playing. This is going to be easy peasy." Nothing should be looked at as easy for this football team right now.
Jaguars defense, though, has been a strength overall for this team,
Sure.
playing pretty well this year in general.
Oh, absolutely. Look, and again, without the boneheaded play by Trayvon Walker last week, maybe they only allow 6 points themselves. Who knows? Maybe we have a 6-6 tie. Yeah, it seemed to be the way it was headed, right? But no, they really overall have played very solidly on that side of the football. And again, a great opportunity. Look, the pass rush has been there, but the sacks necessarily haven't. But they were against Indy the first time. And I think those opportunities are going to come once again. So another 5-6 of Matt Ryan's going to go a long way towards the Jags improving to 2-1 in the AFC South.
There you have it. Some of today's top stories ahead of the Jaguars and the Colts in week number 6. The Jags at 2-3, the Colts 2-1. Let's head to Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis. Ashlyn Sullivan, Jaguars reporter, standing by in the broadcast booth. And I saw some photos earlier that the roof is open at Lucas Oil Stadium. Ashlyn, good morning.
Good morning. It is open, as well as all the windows. When it was posted yesterday, I had to run to the mall to buy a jacket because I'm not risking anything like Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. I'm playing it safe, but it is a beautiful day in Indy. And yeah, this is the first time in 6 years with me being with the Jaguars where the roof's been open when we've been here. So yeah, pretty cool.
They're going to keep it open for the game then, huh? Not
They
just
sure
pregame.
are.
Okay. That's a good deal. And that Doug Peterson actually this week was hoping for that because of the noise factor. He mentioned that earlier this week on the Doug Peterson show, that maybe, hey, it's open. That would help the noise escape a little bit better in the dome. Another divisional game. Obviously, last week they lost Ashland to the Texans, but this is one they got back in week 2 here in Jacksonville, 24-0. But you can't rest on that game. This is a totally different feeling game and a totally different feeling Colts team as well.
Absolutely. Their backs against the wall. I'm talking to people in Indianapolis right now here at the stadium, and they feel the pressure. They feel that this team is not living up to expectations. And both these teams, I think, are in a very similar spot, but we see how banged up this Colts team is right now. And hey, when the Jaguars beat the Chargers in Los Angeles, the narrative was, okay, well, you beat a banged-up team. Well, you could beat a banged-up team as well today, and that's fine if that's the narrative for the Jaguars, where they win these games when key players are out. The Jaguars just need to get a win today and take advantage of this situation.
They don't ask you how, they ask you how many
Exactly.
at the end of the season, of course. All right, you had a chance to visit with Travis Etn Jr., the Jaguars running back, coming off a big game and off the field this week, Ashlyn. How was he?
I did, coming off his best game of his career in the NFL so far, 114 yards. And we talked a lot about the balance of, okay, you're not really a rookie, but physically you kind of are. So let's throw it to off the field to hear more.
Although it was my best game, most productive, I feel like I left a lot of things out there on the field. Just getting into the swing of things, just getting back into playing football. I was out all last season, so this is kind of my first time just getting live work. And I feel like it's very vital for me week in and week out to just continue to just be coachable and get better. I feel like once I step on the field, it's all about football. I feel like all of us been out there playing football for our whole life, so it's not foreign to us. So I feel like it's just me being comfortable, getting that confidence about myself that I once had in college. Because like once you get to the NFL, it's kind of like you're back at the bottom. So it's kind of just getting everybody's respect and just making the routine play each time.
Ashlyn back to driving the golf cart this week, coming off the practice field. ETN, 10 carries, 71 yards last week on the ground, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 43 yards. His best game so far, of course, in the NFL, Ashlyn, and his confidence continues to grow.
It is, and it's overcoming that injury. And at times he didn't want to talk about the injury, but you could tell when we talked about, for example, he got a dog during surgery, and he talked about how much just having the dog with him through this whole time helped him. And you could tell, last year was really, really hard for him, and it was a crucial injury in his career to overcome. But yeah, it's the confidence of mentally he went through all the reps, and he doesn't feel like he's a rookie, but physically he feels like he has so much to make up for last year. So there are some points where he is a rookie in this sense in this year. So, yeah, I think every week we're going to see that confidence grow with him, and especially after last game, you can see he's in a good place right now.
And they'll lean on him more and more, it feels like, as the season goes along, certainly on the ground when they run it. But This offense running through the quarterback, guess what? He's going to get a lot of these targets out in the flat and have some opportunity with green grass out in front of him, and hopefully he can break one here soon. Where can we find the interview, Ashlyn?
You can find it on Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, and Jaguars Twitter.
All right. All the social media channels for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Have a great day with the roof open in Indy, Ashlyn. Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Thanks,
Talk to you guys
Ashlyn.
soon.
It's Ashlyn Sullivan. You can catch her on Jags Drive Time 3 mornings each week on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're about 15 minutes away from the Inactives, but up next, it's CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Andrew Catalan on the impact of Doug Peterson and the pressure on the Jags quarterback to get it right this week. The Jaguars and the Colts coming up at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indy. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been a leader in direct mail for over a decade. Using the latest technology, Kessler can now reach your ideal audience even more effectively. Choose from between a couple of response channels, from direct mail to landing pages designed to engage and initiate responses with potential customers. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
From TIAA Bank Field, this is the Publix Tailgate Show. We're inside 2 hours from Week 6. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-3 visit the Indianapolis Colts at 2-1. Kickoff set for 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indianapolis. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. Let's take a look around the NFL. It's week number 6, and things are getting hot.
Well, they are, and once again getting hot around Deshaun Watson, who's not going to be playing, obviously, in Week 6, but a new civil lawsuit filed this week against the Cleveland Browns quarterback alleging sexual misconduct during a massage session at a Houston hotel in December of 2020. Watson, of course, is currently serving an 11-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy after 24 other women filed civil suits against him alleging misconduct during their massage therapy sessions. Of course, we find out, though, that this civil lawsuit filed this week would reportedly not impact the terms of Watson's settlement with the women or with the National Football League and not subject him to any further league discipline unless something new potentially comes along. LA Rams running back Cam Akers not going to suit up today when his team hosts the Carolina Panthers. Akers is going to be inactive due to what has been described by the team as personal reasons, but it's been reported that he has philosophical and football-related differences with head coach Sean McVay. Wonder if those philosophical differences are how much I'm getting the football. If the two sides don't come to some kind of understanding, the Rams are expected to begin fielding trade calls for Akers as soon as this week. And speaking of trade calls, the Panthers themselves have put out the word that running back Christian McCaffrey and Robbie Anderson are available via trade. Most observers around the league don't think that the Panthers are going to have a full-on fire sale. They're going to hang on to some of their young talent, but the Panthers were, of course, the first team to fire their head coach this year. Matt Rule on the out, Steve Wilks tasked with taking over on an interim basis. Carolina's in last place right now in the NFC South with a record of 1-4, and they're starting third-string quarterback P.J. Walker against the Rams today. Most around the league feel that owner David Tepper would love to earn that number one pick in the draft and have his selection of any quarterback coming out next year. Of course, they'll never admit that will be the plan, and probably because of how Miami got in trouble for that kind of stuff. And speaking of the Dolphins, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa got some good news this week, reportedly cleared from the NFL's concussion protocol. He flew out of state to see a couple of specialists. They say he has zero setbacks during his recovery over the last couple of weeks. He will be inactive for Miami's game against the Vikings today, but he is set to return to the lineup barring any other setbacks against the Steelers when Miami plays on Sunday Night Football in Week 7.
There's your look around the National Football League entering Week 6. If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and our good friend Andrew Catalan has the call of today's game on CBS Sports. The first time he's had a Jags game this season. He's had many over the years as of late, of course. We visited earlier this week, and it's a young Jaguars team looking to find consistency.
Yeah, I think that's what makes them dangerous, that if they went to Indianapolis and won by a couple of touchdowns, you know, you'd be impressed, but you wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. But you're also going to have those lows because they're young, as you point out, and they're not consistent. And that's what it takes in this league. You need to find that consistency, and you need to find ways to finish. I mean, you look at the Texans, they were in all of their losses for the most part. They just couldn't get it done at the end of the game. And I think when you have a young team and a young quarterback, that happens at times. So, you know, for this Jacksonville group, you pointed out, you know, the Chargers game is one of their best games, not of the season, but the last few years. I know they beat the Bills, and that was a great win. But, you know, that was a great performance by them, and they're certainly capable of that. But then you look at last week, and, you know, that surprised me that they couldn't, you know, get some momentum going, and that's what it's going to take. Put a couple of wins together and get some momentum to get these young guys feeling good.
Andrew Catalan with us. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but I kind of was after last week's game when we got phone calls from fans in the call-in show, which, let me tell you, that can sometimes be an interesting program. They wanted to bench the quarterback. No. Well, he's got to play and fight through some of this stuff, right?
I mean, I can't even believe that was a thought. There's no way that should be on the radar right now, and I can't imagine it is. Look, he's learning a new offense again. He had a roller coaster first year, as we all know, and we've seen what he's capable of doing, especially against the Colts. I mean, his two best games of his career probably against Indy, and that's what he's capable of. I mean, you look at Matt Ryan on the other side of the ball in this game. He's turned the ball over, you know, 7 picks, 11 fumbles. He's 37 years old. I mean, you know, it's a tough position to play, and I think Trevor will be just fine.
All right, Andrew, let's flip it around to the Jaguars defense. And this does feel like a week that they should get that pass rush going again. They got 5 sacks of Matt Ryan in the week 2 matchup, 5 of the 10 for the season. It's an O-line group in Indy that's beat up. As you mentioned, the old man Ryan is 37, doesn't move necessarily well, fumbles the ball and does all that. So this is Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen. Hey, guys, get after him. Go do it. The running backs are dinged up, too. It's not like the big running game's going to be there. This is one where they got to get home.
It's amazing to me in studying for this game how poor the Colts offensive line has played. I mean, I think it's one of the more underrated stories of the division right now. And a lot could go on Matt Ryan, but I put more on this offensive line. I mean, look at Jonathan Taylor's numbers. Even when he's healthy, he's not even running the ball nearly as well as he did last year. And I think it's a lot on this line. So there's a lot of pressure on Frank Reich and the Colts to get the line combination correct this week, because you're right. The Jaguars should be teeing off on this offensive line and on Matt Ryan. And with all the injuries the Colts have, not knowing if some really key players are going to be able to go in this game, this is an opportunity for that Jacksonville defense not only to make some plays, but maybe score some points. I mean, take some back for a touchdown. That could be a big key in this game.
Let's focus in on Devin Lloyd, first-round pick, linebacker from Utah, always around the ball, it seems like. That was his MO in college. And him and Trayvon Walker in the first round, so far so good, I think.
No doubt about it. And I'm not going to go back to that Jags defense that went to the playoffs a few years ago. But there was some personalities and playmakers on that Jacksonville D when they went all the way to the AFC Championship game. And I think that these young players have a chance to make some plays like that group. Now, time will tell. It's still very early. But even as you mentioned, Cisco taking one back against Philly. He's in his second year. I mean, there's guys on this defense that can make plays. And it's exciting. I think it's exciting. A lot of Jaguars games, you've been at a lot of them, JP. This is a group that they've been clawing and scratching for a while, and it's good to see them have talent on both sides of the ball. And I think this defense has a chance to really make some plays, not only this week, but going forward for years to come.
What are your impressions of Doug Peterson as a leader, coach, play caller, play designer, all the above?
I've never met him. I didn't have him when he did the Eagles. But when the search was going on in the offseason, and I was hearing some of the names connected to this Jacksonville job, he was the guy that I thought would be a perfect fit. And I'm glad they hired him. I think he's the right hire. I think it's what Trevor Lawrence needs. I think it's what the entire organization needs. Some of these young coordinators who have not been in the head spot before, we're seeing them really have some growing pains early, including Nathaniel Hackett. I like the makeup and the experience that Doug Peterson has, and I think he was the right guy for this job.
Andrew Catalan, CBS Sports play-by-play announcer, seen a lot of Jaguars football over the last few years, and it's his first outing with the Jags today with James Lofton on CBS. And yeah, the future is bright here, but at some point you got to have some traction on some of these mistakes that have been made early in the season, some improvement, and see if they can grow.
Yeah, take care of your opportunities. The present can be bright as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be about, hey, somewhere down the road, because things change so much season to season. Contenders rise and fall, injuries happen. Take advantage of the opportunities that are right there in front of you this year in a very, let's say, mediocre AFC South from the looks of things early on, and go out there and grab yourself a division title.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, Mike Dempsey Fantasy Forecast, and we'll hear from Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth in Indy. Up next, though, Inactives and a pregame Huddle Up podcast. Bucky Brooks and John Ozer standing by. We're about an hour and a half from kickoff in Week 6. The Jaguars and the Colts, an AFC South battle coming up in Indy. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, Let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jags fans, Shaquille Griffin of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know you love when we put the QB in his place with a big interception, and now Luray Boyd Peanut Company is making every pick a winning play with the Peanut Pickoff. Every time the Jaguars make a pick, Luray's Peanuts is going to donate to youth football initiatives throughout the Southeast, and the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. We get one play closer to victory, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Everyone wins, except for the other team's QB. But hey, that's his problem.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville. The Jaguars and the Colts coming up at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The Inactives have been announced, and the Jaguars have 6 players down today, including wide receiver Marvin Jones Jr. A hamstring issue popped up late in the week, and he is out of today's game. The veteran receiver not going to play. Snoop Connor, rookie running back, out again. Tyree Gillespie, the safety, is out. Monteric Brown, rookie cornerback, is out. Deshaun Dixon, outside linebacker, again inactive. And Foley Fatukasi with a quad injury. Had some practice time this week, limited, but just not good enough to go in today's game. So those are the 6 players down for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, a change on the offensive line this week. Tyler Shatley getting the start at left guard with Ben Barch down for the year with a knee issue.
Right, and we knew the Colts coming in had 4 starters already ruled out. 2 on offense, Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines. Their top 2 running backs not going to play this week. Taylor's got the ankle. Hines coming off a concussion that he suffered last week. And defensively, Shaq Leonard has barely played all year. He missed the first game against the Jaguars. He'll miss again. So no starting middle linebacker for Indianapolis. And Kwity Paye, one of their starting defensive ends, also out today. A trio of other players: Eric Johnson on the defensive line, Wesley French, a backup center, and Nick Foles is not going to be active today because the Colts are elevating Sam Ehlinger to the backup spot if he needs to play, or if they need to go that route. They want to see what they have in him, apparently. So no big revenge tour at any point today for Nick Foles, at least on the playing field, JP.
There you have it. The Inactives are in. Let's go to Indianapolis and the house that John Oehser built, Lucas Oil Stadium. Senior writer, Jaguars.com. Oh, and Bucky Brooks is there also. Reverse the script there. Hey, good morning, guys. And here we go on what should be a nice day for football. The roof is open in Indy, and there's never an easy road game, obviously, in the NFL. Certainly for a team that has been a little inconsistent, let's say, early in the season, the Jaguars. But a good chance today, Bucky, to get things on track.
Yeah, good chance to get on track. And this is a big game for the Jags. One, I think it's a maturity game in terms of testing their ability to bounce back. A couple games where they haven't played their best on offense. Can they get back on track against a solid defense in the Indianapolis Colts? And so a lot of eyes and attention should be on Trevor Lawrence, and rightfully so. Franchise quarterback needs to have a very, very good game. He needs to have a turnover-free game for the Jags to get a win.
Yeah, even without those guys on defense, the Colts have been playing very well defensively. So I don't know that their dynamic changes a whole lot from what it's been. They're a better team when Leonard plays, but he hadn't played a whole lot. So they don't scare you in terms of taking the ball away like they do with him, but they've held teams down. And, JP, you and I talked about it a lot this week. The Colts have stayed in ugly games and won ugly games. I would think that they would want to get into that sort of game with the Jags. To me, it's up to the Jags to take advantage in the red zone, get out of that ugly game range, get into the 20s, and then I think you can get away from this team. But they got to do that.
Guys, we've already seen a game this year where Zay Jones was unavailable, and the Jags kind of switched things up, and Jamal Agnew became a big part of the passing game that week. Does Marvin Jones' absence have that kind of impact on the game plan today?
I don't know. I think all these guys are interchangeable parts, and that's not being disrespectful, but I think by design, it's a very balanced wide receiver core. So Marvin Jones moves away, then Zay Jones or Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram, or those guys will step up and have opportunities. Jamal Agnew may have more opportunities. So for me, you miss his leadership and experience, but someone else can jump in and take those targets and touches and really make it work for the offense.
Yeah, I think you do miss that guy who did what he did last week, which is catch, 7 for 101 when they couldn't get the other guys going. He's a reliable guy. I don't think the game plan changes. I don't think there's anything that he does that you can't ask Jamal Agnew to do, to a point. And then Agnew's got the obvious, extra gear that he can turn short into long very quickly. To me, the key with receivers today is somehow get Christian Kirk going. And 3 targets last week. I can't imagine that won't be his season low in terms of targets. And, I think as he goes today, I think you'll see the Jaguars' offense go in terms of passing.
Was that more of, with defenses kind of covering him up, Bucky, last week, or just a lack of going his direction from the quarterback? What did you see last week with that?
I think sometimes just the way the progression goes. Sometimes the coverage wins and forces the quarterback to go in a different direction. And because we talked about the balanced distribution, I don't know if there are many plays in the playbook that are designed to just get the ball to Christian Kirk. Maybe this week will be different because he hasn't had as many touches of late, and maybe you want to get him into a rhythm. And so maybe Doug scripts some things where he gets direct touches. But I think of late it's really been a byproduct of the defense just kind of taking away some of those things early in the progression and Trevor going to his second and third option in the concept.
Guys, we heard Trayvon Walker this week refer to Matt Ryan as a sitting duck back there, which may be true. Maybe true. I don't know if you want him putting that out there, Bucky. How does that play in the locker room? Does that get the guys to rally around him and go, hey, we got to back it up now? Or does that get guys to go, what are you doing? Shut your mouth.
Probably both, Buck. Probably, hey, what are you doing? Well, now we got to go back him up.
A little bit, man. But sometimes you have to be honest because, look, he's not running zone read. He's not going to run around and make plays. He's not saying anything that any of us can't turn on the tape and see. You know what? Matt Ryan doesn't move around. So you just typically, the old school thought process is, hey, don't give me any bulletin board material. New media would say, hey, put that out there. Who cares?
Yeah, it's one of those where everybody sort of knows it, but you just don't want to say it. Like in high school, okay, well, all right. So I don't think it matters that much, but it's certainly rare bulletin board material, if you will, and rare midweek turns into game day topic. I think it also reveals a little bit that is obviously the goal. The Jaguars have 10 sacks, 5 of them on Matt Ryan. They've got to feel like they can get to him. They've got to feel like that's something that can turn the game in their favor. I think they need a turnover early up here to get momentum on their side and get ahead. That's the way to do it against this Colts team. Now the Jaguars have to go do it.
And John Oehser, Bucky Brooks with us from Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. Speaking of turnovers, of course, the Jags quarterback has given it up 7 times over the last 2 weeks combined. 5 of those in Philly, of course, and 2 last week, one on the desperation pass at the end, but the other in the red zone and the end zone in the third quarter was a killer for the Jags last week in a 1-score game. So, early this week, there was all the angst from the fan base about the quarterback and people calling for him to sit down and all this. Hey, remain calm, let the guy play, and work through some things, right? I mean, that's the right approach, obviously.
Bucky, I don't even want him having a chair for Trevor to sit in. I don't even want that being an option.
I mean, there has been a little bit of a panic around it feels like the city when it comes to Trevor and why he isn't playing at an A level at this point. And I think everyone has to go back and remember, first year in this system with Doug Peterson. Yes, he played a full season last year, but I don't know what he gained outside of a lot of leadership things that he had to take on and just the speed of the NFL game, because from an offensive standpoint, completely different what he's doing this year compared to last year. He has to step up, and you can't necessarily wipe away the mistakes that he's making, but I think we need to exhibit a little more patience and tolerance for some of the little growing pains that he's going through.
Yeah, this is, it's painful to hear it, but it is part of the growing pains. And really in the last 2 weeks, as much as we talked about the turnovers, as much as we talked about what he hasn't done, it really has been 2 plays, both in the red zone, and they have been absolute killers. Mm-hmm. But, I almost hesitate to say what I'm going to say. If you take those away, he's probably fine. But in the NFL, those are what the game is all about. So they absolutely can't have them. But it's not like it's just pandemic with them where it's happening all the time. He's got to take those away. It's tragic for those games, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I don't think it's tragic for his long-term development.
All right, guys, quickly, Travis Etienne, it's the true breakout coming today. What do you see on the horizon for him?
Well, I feel like the breakout came last week, and so now I think if you're the coaching staff and you're trying to figure out where we can generate more big plays, it has to start with him, and then I think Jamal Agnew also gets a little piece of it. But Travis Etienne, 13 touches, over 100 and some scrimmage yards a week ago. That's a nice starting point. He is the most explosive option in the backfield. You got to find a way to get him the ball more.
Yeah, I talked to him real briefly about it this week, and I think he feels like a lot of people do. He's one step, one give a leg, take a leg away move from having that breakout. Because I think his breakout's going to come when he goes 70. I mean, he's been so close to it. You feel like it's there. Does it come today? I don't know. But he has gotten to the point, I think is the good thing for the Jags, he's gotten to the point where you feel like that can happen on any given play. And that shows me he's seeing it. They're figuring out how to use him. It's going to happen, hopefully, for this team today, because they need to play like that today, I think.
All right, guys, enjoy the game today. The roof will be open. Bucky, the sideline should be nice. Oehser, the press box is air-conditioned. So
press box is always nice.
That's fantastic. Have a great day.
It was even nice in Philly.
It was certainly nice in Philadelphia. Have a great week, guys. Appreciate it. Bucky Brooks, John Oehser from Lucas Oil Stadium in downtown Indy. The weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show is Wednesday at 4 o'clock on Jaguars.com and the Jags social channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We're inside 20 minutes away from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff starts at high noon. We'll hear from Jaguars outside linebacker Josh Allen and, of course, pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor. We'll return with a fantasy forecast, and we'll go back to the broadcast booth and hear from Frank Frangie. The Jaguars and the Colts coming up at 1 o'clock in Week 6. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey Jags fans, Brian Sexton for Dreamfinders Homes. In a complex housing market, do decisions on the biggest purchase of your life stress you out? At Dreamfinders Homes, they can build the home of your dreams in one of their many communities in Northeast Florida. With a mortgage company in-house, they're here to assist you throughout the entire process. Choose from their wide range of single-family homes or townhomes from the 300,000s. Dreamfinders Homes specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. Call 904-590-2545 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. S-M-A-R-T. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking will punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
What do you call a group of friends who wear the same jersey for good luck, no matter how old it is, and who support their team through thick and thin, week after week, as if the very season depended on it, while tossing the pigskin and drinking Miller Lite? You call it Miller Time in Jacksonville. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2022 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. We continue from the bank in Jacksonville. It's week 6, though, and the Jaguars are in Indianapolis to face the Colts. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff time at Lucas Oil Stadium. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Jaguars Radio Network studio. Network coverage beginning at noon with countdown to kickoff just about 13 minutes from right now. It's time now for a week 6 fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey.
Yeah, week 6 is the week of the backup running back in the National Football League in a lot of ways here. Kenneth Walker takes over as the starter for Seattle after Rashad Penny broke a bone in his leg last week, but a lot of guys getting the opportunity on a short-term basis to start today. We'll get to some of those, some of the early inactives you need to be aware of. Among the guys who are playing today, T. Higgins is listed as active for Cincinnati. Keep in mind, last Sunday night, he was active for Sunday Night Football after being questionable all week long in practice, played 10 snaps, didn't have a catch. They say he looked okay at times in warm-ups, but also winced in pain in other moments. So a little cautious whether or not you're going to force T. Higgins in a lineup. I might pivot if I have a reasonable alternative. Kyle Pitts also active for the Atlanta Falcons. He has not been very fantasy effective all season long, only one game in double-figure scoring and point-per-reception leagues this year. Among the players out in the early wave of games for the Patriots, wide receiver Nelson Aguilar and running back Damian Harris are both out. Harris goes out with a concussion last week. Ramondre Stevenson's been a hot name on the waiver wire if you could get him, and certainly in a lot of starting lineups this week for the Patriots. A trio of receivers out for the Saints today. Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry all dealing with various ailments. Could set up another big game from Taysom Hill because they don't have that many playmakers outside of Alvin Kamara here, so the ball might be in Hill's hands another 10 or 12 times today, and he has been making great fantasy impact with just a few touches. Rashad Bateman, the number one receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, will not suit up today. Julio Jones, not nearly as high on the depth chart and pecking order for the Bucs, still going to be missing time for Tampa. And Christian Watson, the rookie receiver for Green Bay, also ruled out. In the afternoon games today, continuing the theme of the backup running backs, Eno Benjamin will get the start for Arizona against a very porous Seattle defense. We already told you Kenneth Walker III takes over as the starter. He had a breakaway touchdown for the Seahawks last week. Both James Conner and Darrell Williams out for Arizona, so Benjamin should get a big workload in the 4 o'clock window today. Carolina at the L.A. Rams. P.J. Walker is going to start at quarterback with Baker Mayfield ailing for Carolina as they're cross-country to take on L.A., who will be without Cam Akers, out listed for personal reasons, but said to have some philosophical differences with Sean McVay as head coach. Darrell Henderson will start, but that running game has been very ineffective this year because the offensive line has been so bad. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, wide receiver and tight end for the Rams, are both listed as questionable, both expected to play today. Tonight, CeeDee Lamb, questionable with a hip injury. He only showed up on the injury report on Friday as he missed the walkthrough. Most observers feel he will play. And today, JP, is the game that fantasy managers are most looking forward to all season long. It's Buffalo at Kansas City. Can't possibly live up to what we got in the playoffs last year. I doubt. Can it? I mean, I'll take both teams in the 30s, but I think fantasy managers are thinking this one's going to be 49-48 by the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be hard to top that playoff game in any week
no
at
doubt.
all. Unbelievable.
12-second scoring drive. Not going to happen too often.
No, not at all. There you have it. A fantasy forecast. A lot going on in Week 6 in the National Football League, including the Jaguars and the Colts. That's in Indianapolis. Let's head back to Lucas Oil Stadium for the Frangie File. A visit with Jaguars play-by-play announcer Frank Frangie on a Sunsplash Chamber of Commerce day in Indy, and it's good enough to open the roof today, Frank. Good morning.
Good morning, JP and Mike. I don't think I've ever been here with it open. I've seen the side, that one side they open, the one to our left, but I don't think I've ever seen the actual roof open. It is a beautiful day here in Indianapolis, no question about it.
Yeah, so Frank, I mean, obviously you look at the Colts and the thing that jumps out at you are the guys who will not be playing today. Didn't have their starting receivers and their starting middle linebacker the first time they played. Now you've got Jonathan Taylor out in addition to Shaq Leonard and others. I mean, this is a huge blow. Even though he only carried it 9 times, he averaged 6 yards a pop against Jacksonville the first time around, Frank, and Deion Jackson is not Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Mike, this is an Indy team that's really trying to scramble right now. They're desperate. They've found a way to somehow win those 2 games. Matt Ryan has not been great. And Matt Ryan, to your point, was brought here to be the quarterback who, I don't want to say game manages, Mike, but certainly is the guy that tees up Jonathan Taylor and hits Michael Pittman, and they didn't have Pittman the first game, we just said. They're not going to have Taylor today. No, this is not a great offense. It's a team that's trying to find itself. It's also a franchise, I can tell you, that they tried Phillip Rivers. They tried Carson Wentz for a year. Now they're trying Matt Ryan, who doesn't look nearly like the Matt Ryan of 7-8 years ago. So they're trying to figure some stuff out. It's a desperate franchise, and you're right. It's a wounded group today, no question about it.
Frank Frangie joining us from Indianapolis. Quarterback play for the Jags under the microscope this week from a lot of Jaguars fans and observers. Well, 7 turnovers will do that to you. Yeah, patience still is a virtue. You got to keep that in mind. He's 23 now, just turned it 10 days ago, and that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but it's what it is, and he's got to fight through some of these mistakes.
Yeah, to me, JP, there's 2 conversations. The one conversation is, what do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be? And is every game a referendum on that? I don't believe that. Me personally, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a very good NFL quarterback. I don't doubt that one bit. The work ethic, the kind of teammate he is, all the traits are there. In my heart of hearts, I really believe that. But I also know this learning curve, we don't know how long it's going to take. It does take guys a long time to figure it out sometimes. And guys progress at different levels. And right now, we're really seeing that learning stage, JP. We're really seeing it. And he has struggled, man. There's no sugarcoating it. He has not played well. He's played poorly in the 3 losses. He knows that. They know that. So Doug Peterson's job is to carve a game plan that fits where he is right now. That game plan is going to be different in 2 years, but that's the challenge. We all know that. The struggles with the Jaguars the last few games, particularly last game, is the fact that the quarterback didn't play very well, and I don't think anybody's making any bones about that. That's kind of where they are right now.
And if he's going to play well, Frank, it's probably because Christian Kirk is contributing significantly in that wide receiver core. And the Jags, the first 3 weeks, I think we all gave him a lot of credit for scheming him open, particularly against Indianapolis on occasion. Wasn't as successful the last couple of weeks, that approach. Do you think Kirk gets back on track today?
I do, because I think they're going to have some different things planned. I think what happened last week, even though Lovie Smith, Mike, is known as the cover 2 guy or the Tampa 2 guy, they had played a lot of single high safety every game until the Jaguar game, and then they went back to that cover 2, which has worked against Trevor because safeties can watch the quarterback, and he's not been great yet at looking off safeties and not locking in on receivers. But I do think there will be an absolute plan to get the ball to Christian Kirk. They paid him a lot of money, and they count on him. He's a leader in that locker room. They've got to get the ball to him. So I think you'll see him use different ways. I wouldn't be surprised to see a jet sweep, some wide receiver screens to him, something to involve him early in the game, Mike. I absolutely believe you're going to see far more Christian Kirk today than you have in the last week or two.
Frank, enjoy the day. Have a great call. Bring back a W, and get us to 2-1 in the division. How about
we need to get there. This is a big one, fellas, and you're exactly right. We'll do it. Thanks, fellas. We appreciate it.
Big game out of you today, Frank. That's what we need.
Okay, I'm ready. Now that I know I'm ready.
Okay, good. Frank Frangie in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium. The site the Jaguars trying to get it done today against the division rival Colts, as they did back in week number 2, of course. The Jaguars shut out the Colts 24-0 in that game. The Colts are banged up. A couple of running backs are down. A couple of star defensive players are down for the Colts. It's tough still on the road in the division.
Got to win it. Have to have this one.
Must win?
I mean, it doesn't eliminate you, so I guess not, but it feels like it.
Yes, it does feel like it.
There you go.
They've been right there. Okay, we'll see. It's coming up shortly. We'll have Jaguars Radio Network coverage when we return. Countdown to kickoff. We'll hear from Fred Taylor and the final word before kick with head coach Doug Peterson. The Jags and the Colts coming up. Thanks for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an acceptable